Ooh, excuse me, Struth. G'day everybody and welcome to another C3 Stand devotion. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Corey and I attend the C3 Stand in Langford. I have the honour of being part of the devotional team and being able to share from my personal experience and relating that back to the Word. For those of you who don't know, we're roughly about episode 5 in this series of hearing from God. If you haven't already, I would suggest going back and rewatching everybody else's because they're all great. And I've also found the good thing about the different people in our devotion team, everyone brings a different kind of perspective and even different tips on how to and what works for them, which, because we're all different people, it's always going to be different. Which kind of leads perfectly into what I'm talking about tonight in the regards of listening from God is different from person to person, and I kind of want to give a little step-by-step on how to and how I've found it in my own life. So I get, very rarely I'll see images. Mostly I'll hear an audible voice or I'll feel something just kind of in my gut. I'll just feel like something needs to go. And how I've gotten better at, one, hearing the voice of God is by spending time with God, which one of the best ways to do that is by reading your word. For me, I like to put on worship music or Christian music, praise music, and have that going in the background, and I deliberately set aside time to just sit and be. It's almost exactly like any kind of relationship or friendship you would have. You need to spend time with each other. Another thing that I've also found is spending time with like-minded people as well, which is kind of the point I will be dragging home in my devotion tonight is if you ever feel that you're not hearing from God, sometimes I've found for myself, I've had conversations with people about, I've been praying about this, and right away they'll go, well, I feel that this means that. Now, full disclaimer right here, be very mindful of who you're listening to and make sure it's always relating back to the Word. I have had some times where I've gone to people, close friends, even pastors, and I've gone, hey, I've been feeling this lately, and they've said something to me, and I've gone away and prayed about it, and it hasn't been right. And that's okay, because we are all human. So really learning to listen to God is, you've got to do the hard work of reading the Bible and knowing what it is, who He is, which He reveals Himself through the Bible, and relating it all back to that. But I also find that that's easier for me to do with people, such as in a Bible study situation, or I meet up with a few people once a month to discuss certain topics and pull things apart, because of course everyone views things and reads things that little bit differently, and I like to get all kinds of angles on how the same thing is written. And the Bible actually backs this up a lot. I'm going to be focusing on 3 verses, which again I would encourage you to go and read all the verses around them before and after, because when we take things out of context, we can easily blur what they actually mean. So I'm hoping I haven't done that. If I have, please let me know, and I'm always open to discuss that. But yes, so the first one is Matthew 18 verse 20, for where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I will be with them. Which to me, I'm relating that into the surrounding yourself by like-minded people is a good step in helping, practicing, learning to hear what God sounds like. Before I could hear a audible voice of God, I surrounded myself with lots of people on a very regular basis with the intent of reading the Bible and trying to hear to what God had for me in my life at that time. And a lot of it kind of got the ball rolling where other people around me would be like, hey, I feel this. And sometimes, I will admit, I can be a bit hard of hearing, which again is why it's good to have other people with you, because God might be telling me something I don't want to hear, such as, oh, Corey, you need to work on patience, or you need to work on being more kind to others. And I'm like, I'm fine with that. Like, that's all okay, because I've progressed in it and I feel that I'm done with it. But God's going, well, hold on, there's still more to deal with. So if you ever feel that someone's coming with the same nice, positive word that's about growth and doesn't contradict the Bible, maybe God's trying to grab your attention. The second verse that I want to focus on is again from Matthew, but this time it is 22, verse 37. Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is alike. Love your neighbors as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments." The reason I'm bringing that in is because of the importance it is to, one, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind. And you can't really do that if you're not reading his word and you don't know who he is. And if you don't know who he is, I don't really understand how you're going to expect to be hearing from him or knowing that you're hearing from him. So it all kind of stacks on it. The second part about that, love your neighbor as yourself, is that other kind of running that point home that we are all made to be in community with each other, and working with other people who are like-minded is going to help you, though sometimes the help won't always feel pleasant in that moment, which brings me to my third verse, which is from Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. And I've loved this verse, and it's been spoken over me, and I've read it many times in my life, which really hasn't been that long, but I've read it a lot. And the more you think about it, ironing, sharpening iron is really cool, because, you know, we think of like a dull kitchen knife and you sharpen it against more steel to bring the edge back, to make it sharper so you can cut your tomatoes easier and hopefully not cut your fingers. But the part I think we often overlook is when iron is sharpening iron, that's a very abrasive and painful process. Now, that doesn't mean that people, when you're going through growth, it should be abrasive and it should hurt. It's just a disclaimer that don't think that every time you go through growth, every time you take a step in the right direction, it's just going to be all sunshine and rainbows. At least in my experience, it hasn't always been. I was actually chatting with a friend the other day about this, and he said it perfectly. Remember when you all of a sudden hit a growth spurt and you might have gotten pains in your shins or in your knees or in your back because all of a sudden you've got these growing pains. They are mildly discomfortable, my goodness. They're mildly uncomfortable, sorry about that, but for the benefit of growing. So just be mindful of that too, that as you continue to listen to God, know his voice and hear from him, there will be some things where it is a bit uncomfortable, maybe a little bit like, oh, you thought you've already dealt with this? I know for me, there's been plenty of things in my life where I'm like, yeah, God, we dealt with that last week. And God's like, yes, but there's actually more to it. And then I'm going, well, is there? And it's like, yes. And then usually I'll have a friend come over and be like, hey, I've been praying for you. And in praying for you, I got this. Does this mean anything to you? And I kind of sit there and go, yeah, it does. All right, so how do we move forward with this? Because sometimes as well, you might get a word, or you might get a feeling, or you might get someone come and say something over you, and you go, well, you've given me the information, but now what? And that's where doing life with friends, community, people will help, because sometimes I'll go to some people and be like, hey, I've gotten this, how do I deal with this? And they'll go, well, when I had that spoken over my life, or when I ran into this, I found this helpful. Do you think this might help you? So yeah, that's kind of the word I had for you guys about hearing from God. There's a lot of groundwork that needs to go into it, but trust me, it is worth it. And in that, find someone who you can sharpen yourself against as well. And in the process, hopefully you're sharpening them. And in the times of sharpening each other, where it might be abrasive and sparks will fly, remember to have grace with each other. Remember to love your neighbour as yourself and as the way that God's loved you. That is all I have for tonight. I hope that we will see you all this Sunday at C3 Stand for our Father's Day Sunday. Please invite your dads. I believe there's a gift for all the fathers. I myself won't be there as I'm celebrating Father's Day at another church with my father-in-law, but feel free to always pop in. There's always some cool stuff going on at our church. We'd love to have you, and I just hope that you have a blessed week. I'll see you guys next time.